I've been in the church as long as I can remember. My earliest memories are of being on a pew, sitting amongst godly people who were sitting underneath incredible teaching of God's Word, wonderful praise and worship music. I love church. The problem is, often for you, if you're like me, is that we can sit on the pews of our church but not actually experience what we're learning here. I've read so much about God throughout the scriptures and heard so much about Him being taught to me as I've sat in Bible studies and on the pews of my church. But I wanted to experience this God who had the power to divide the Red Sea in the Old Testament, this God who had the power in the New Testament to raise Lazarus from the dead. This same God was supposed to be speaking to me, teaching to me, making Himself relevant to me in my regular life, in the regular rhythms of my everyday living, and it wasn't happening. In John 10:10, He says, listen, I came that you might not just have life, but that you might have it abundantly. And if He came to give abundant life is what I'm after. It all began when God directed me to this home Bible study group, a little living room packed with people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different colors, different denominations. And let me tell you something, my little theological box that I didn't even know I had, that little box was rattled when these believers who knew and had experienced different things about God became part of my life. My eyes were open to see God in a brand new way. I was anticipating more out of God than I'd ever anticipated before. Because when I walked into that little home, I knew that I was standing underneath an open heaven. I could feel almost the tangible presence of God. I was hearing Him with clarity. The scriptures were exploding with revelation. I would see believers pray about a miracle they needed in their life. And then the next week they'd come back and talk about the miracle that God had performed. And then God started performing miracles in my life. I was seeing evidence of Him on a regular basis. And let me tell you, once you start experiencing God, you are ruined for everything else. What we've garnered on the pew, it's supposed to move out onto the pavement. It's supposed to be a part of the regular rhythms of our everyday existence. You know, it's kind of like the children of Israel. There were 2 million Hebrew people that were enslaved in Egypt. 2 million people that got free. 2 million people that were offered the opportunity to walk on promised land soil. In other words, to experience what God had offered them. 2 million people had the chance. And do you know that of the original 2 million Jewish people, only 2 actually ever made it?